bit deeper into the matter and start with the real work. So let's have a look at the science, and I'm glad to have Christian Kalk here, our expert on nutrition communication, and the best person we have to explain to you the effects of chicory root fiber on digestive health and the scientific proof for its health benefits.
Thank you, Katrien. Let us now take a closer look at how chicory root fiber supports our digestive health. First, it is important to realize that chicory root fibers are not digested. Nothing happens to them until they reach the large intestine. There, in the colon, oxygen runs out and inulin and oligofructose are fully fermented. The beneficial bacteria in our colon thrive on inulin and oligofructose. Chicory root fibers are soluble, prebiotic, fully fermentable dietary fibers. When chicory root fiber enters the large intestine, beneficial bacteria, in particular so-called bifidobacteria, start to grow on it. Bifidobacteria were first isolated from the feces of healthy, breastfed infants. Later, they were also found to be important in children and adults. While beneficial bacteria ferment chicory root fiber in the large intestine, they multiply. The bacterial mass increases. Bacterial mass has a high water content, so as a result of chicory root fiber fermentation, a bit more water is kept inside the colon. This makes stools that are formed somewhat softer. Also, the volume within the colon slightly increases. During fermentation of chicory root fiber, breakdown products are formed. Final breakdown products are gases and short-chain fatty acids, acetate, propionate, and butyrate. Short-chain fatty acids are beneficial to the large intestine in several ways. One of the benefits is that they stimulate the cells of the large intestine to produce more serotonin. This neurotransmitter, serotonin, controls and stimulates bowel movements. Most short-chain fatty acids are taken up into the bloodstream. In the body, they are beneficial too. For example, the short-chain fatty acids acetate and propionate help to maintain our healthy energy balance. Some gas is taken up by the bloodstream. This can be measured. The presence of hydrogen in exhaled air is a sign of fermentation of prebiotic fiber. Most gases are excreted though. Gases that are captured during stool formation help to further soften stools. So, what can we conclude? Complete fermentation of prebiotic chicory root fiber increases the number of stools per week. How does this happen? Extra bacterial mass formed during fermentation binds water. This makes the stool a bit softer. Captured gas from fermentation further softens the stool. Softer stools are excreted more easily, without pain. In addition, bowel movements are mildly stimulated in two ways. First, there is a mechanical stimulation by slightly increased pressure in the large intestine. This pressure increase is the result of the fermentation products formed from chicory root fiber, in particular bacterial mass. Second, there is a chemical stimulation of bowel movements by short-chain fatty acids formed during fermentation. This explains why chicory root fibers only have a mild stool bulking effect, but are still very effective in increasing the number of stools per week. This bar chart shows human volunteer studies that were performed with inulin and oligofructose. Each bar represents stool frequency data from an individual study. Consumption of chicory root fiber is compared to consumption of a placebo during 1 or more weeks. All studies reveal an increase in weekly stool frequency. Such an increase was consistently found with various study designs, various foods, different ages, different ethnic and geographical origins. Effects were found both in healthy people, in constipated but otherwise healthy, and in diseased people. Typically, someone who feels constipated and only has 3 to 4 bowel movements per week will have 1 to 3 more stools per week when consuming chicory root fiber. At none of the dose levels tested, chicory root fiber caused diarrhea. In contrast, small molecules like lactitol have a clear osmotic effect. Bowel regularity is an important aspect of digestive health. As I showed, it can be supported by taking chicory root fiber. When stools become more frequent and less painful, one can notice the effect. But what about important aspects of digestive health that cannot be noticed? Let me conclude the explanation on how chicory root fiber supports digestive health with this, an example of an effect that is not noticed, at least not immediately. We found that by taking inulin or oligofructose from chicory, one also stimulates beneficial bacteria in the large intestine. Bifidobacteria are the best known example. Here, results of over 20 human studies are shown, in which numbers of bifidobacteria in stools were counted. Blue dots represent numbers before intake of chicory fiber, or numbers of a placebo control group. Green dots represent numbers of bifidobacteria after 1 or more weeks chicory root fiber consumption. But please note that the y-axis is a logarithmic scale. An increase of, for instance, 0.2 between blue and green means that 60% more bifidobacteria are present. This already has an important influence on fermentation in the large intestine. The prebiotic effect of inulin and oligofructose from chicory is observed consistently. It is independent from, for instance, the food matrix, the study design, or the study population. These studies demonstrate an increase in bifidobacteria when 5 grams per day or more of chicory fiber are consumed. Most of these studies were done with Beneo's chicory root fibers. Beneo is a pioneer in the research of prebiotics and digestive health. We at Beneo remain committed to this exciting field, which is relevant to everyone's health. With that, I conclude and give the word back to Katrien.
Okay, thank you.